Hey guys, today we're going to do a tour of my sister's garden. This is Brenda, my twin sister. Y'all know her from another video, a garden tour. So today we're going to do a tour of her garden. This is actually where we grew up. This is our home place. It was handed down from my great-granddaddy to my granddaddy, to my daddy, and to us. So it's just a blessing to be able to have this land, to be able to garden on. This is the land that we grew up gardening on. We didn't really enjoy it.
We hated it.
We hated it.
We said we'd never garden again when we got big.
Yes, yeah, because, I mean, when everybody else was going to the pool and sleeping in and watching cartoons in the summer, we were in the garden. So we didn't enjoy it very much, but
it taught us a good work ethic. So
it did teach us a good work ethic, and it was just kind of how we got by when we were young. You know, we needed to fill the freezer to be able to live for the year. So, you know, and one of the valuable lessons that I think that you can learn from that is, even though we hated it as kids, we were blessed to be able to garden with my daddy on this home place until a couple of years ago. So even if your kids are not enjoying the garden, if they're not enjoying learning a new skill from you, make them get out there and do it with you, because they may never learn to love it. It may never be their thing. But
looking back now, memories of being in the garden with mom and dad are some of my best memories now.
Exactly. So, but anyway, we're going to show y'all her place, her garden. So she's got her bees, and she also has some friends that have some bees on her place. So they are going really, really well. Are y'all going to leave them this close to your garden?
Yeah, they're turned away from my garden.
Okay.
I've never been stung.
Okay.
They're turned away from my garden. As long as I don't mess with them, they haven't messed with me.
Okay.
And I have had, I don't know, near 100% fruit set on my tomatoes and on my cucumbers as well. I've never seen fruit set like that before.
I don't think tomatoes have to have bees to set fruit.
They don't, but I still have never seen my fruit set. I'll show you when we tour the garden.
I mean, I think they do great for squash and cucumbers and melons, but I don't think you have to have them for tomatoes. So, I love how she decorated the front of those beehive boxes. So, all right, let's go take a look.
Okay, the fence is off. You can go through.
Oh, the fence is off. Yeah, we actually hunt back there too. So there are deer that like to come through this route. So we have to keep the electric fence to keep the deer out of them. All right, show us what you got.
All right. So I've got about 120 tomatoes. I just put these up recently, and I've got a couple of different trellising methods. Most of my trellising is on cattle panel, and I use stretchy tape that looks like this. We got a lot of rain. We got about 3.5 inches of rain today.
Oh yeah.
I use this stretchy tape to tie it up onto the cattle panel. And this is the first year that I've done that before. I love it. It's probably going to be my go-to forever for trellising. But I ran out of cattle panel, so I did this for my last row. And this is just T-post that I drove in the ground.
Yeah.
And then
that's a good idea.
A PVC T-piece and wire. And then I just got a thread. So as my tomatoes grow, I'll come and I'll just train them to go up that little twine.
So you're going to have to keep these pruned, otherwise you'll have to.
Well, I'll
either
keep them pruned, or I'll have to tie them to this lead. But I'll probably keep these pruned back a lot better.
Or you can also start another line.
Yeah, I
can. You know, do multiple lines.
Yeah,
so.
I can. These are my peppers. Everything needs to be a little bit weeded. It looks pretty good before it started raining about a week ago, and I haven't been able to get out here.
That's fine.
Some really cool stuff. This is the first row I planted, and then we got some cold weather, so it kind of went through a shock. I didn't plant everything else until later, and if you pan, those other rows were planted 2 weeks later, but they were planted after the cold shock. So they have actually surpassed the ones that went out early.
So we've heard from other people that, you know, sometimes just when you're getting in a hurry to get stuff in the ground, you might work against yourself because the cold shock. Look at all the fruit on these berries, crazy cherry.
They look like grape clusters. And look at all of this. Look at all the blossoms.
Now last year was the first year we grew these, and I wasn't excited. I didn't think I was going to enjoy these berries, Crazy Cherry, but they're really good.
Yeah, and they're prolific.
And another thing I like about them is they don't crack when it rains.
No, they don't.
The skin is very very resistant to cracking when it rains. So
this is just how I use the tape. That little thing needs to be tied up.
yeah.
I bet that with all this rain, we're going to start seeing maybe some light. I need to take that off.
Maybe it'll rain tonight and it'll wash it off. I wouldn't take it off because the tomatoes, we'll take it off, whatever. The tomatoes we're going to be growing from that.
That's fine.
It'll do another side shoot.
So Berries, Crazy Cherry, these are Sunrise Bumblebee.
Sunrise Bumblebee are our favorite, aren't they?
Those were my favorite. If I could grow one, it would be that. So this is Haas Tools.
Haas Invincible.
Haas Invincible. It's supposed to be really disease resistant. And the selling, I've never grown these, but the selling point on this was it's supposed to set fruit in the heat.
Okay.
Because when it gets 95, 100 degrees outside in the summer, the tomatoes, the blossoms will just fall off. The fruit won't set. This is supposed to set.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take some clippings from this and start some fall tomatoes from these to see when I see how they do.
Are they heirlooms or no?
No, they're hybrid.
The hybrids.
So I can't seed save.
Okay. I love the way that you've got your basil and your nasturtiums planted.
And marigolds.
And marigolds.
And I've got some cilantro planted. And I have not had to spray. I mean, I've got 120 tomatoes out here. I've seen aphids on a couple of plants.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen much.
Yeah.
And I haven't had to spray anything because between the basil and all of the companion planting that I've done, I really think that it confuses, you know, some of the companion plants are trap plants and the aphids go there. And some of the companion plants they just confuse the insects.
And I think the companion plants also bring in good insects that'll eat the bad insects.
Most of the insects are good insects. You know, the majority of them aren't. I need to tie that up.
Can you not just weave it through the cattle panel?
You can.
I mean, as long as you don't break it.
As long as you don't break it. The majority of the insects are good, beneficial insects.
Okay. Is this whole row Haas Invincible?
Yes.
Okay.
So this whole row is Haas Invincible. Not every row is all one thing, but I know this was going to hopefully be my big, it's a, like a paste tomato.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good canning tomato. So that's, and it's determinate. So this is the only tomato that's a determinate tomato that I've planted, which means that it'll set its fruit. It sets a determined amount of fruit, and then it's done.
Okay. So you can probably turn that row over and put something else in it.
And they don't grow as tall. They don't grow as tall and as.
Okay.
These are a mixture of Amish paste and San Marzano.
San Marzano are supposed to be good for canning, aren't they?
Yes, and so is Amish paste. And you can kind of, I mean, you can see the difference. I think these are the Amish paste, maybe?
Well, I don't know. I'm not growing Amish paste.
I had
You need to get
labels.
that off the ground.
I had labels, but
You put these in the ground and didn't label them?
they're not all labeled.
I
need some surprises in my life.
Well, how do you know what they're going to be?
Well, I know these are either Amish paste or San Marzano. I think the long skinny ones are
San Marzano?
San Marzano.
Yeah, I think I've got some of those. I'll have to, I did label mine, so we can look at mine and then see if they look like yours. I don't know about the Amish paste, though.
And most of them, I can look at the plant itself and the shape of the fruit. I mean, I haven't grown Amish paste or San Marzano, so I'm not sure about that. But most of them that I've grown in the past, I can look at the fruit and tell.
What's wrong with that one over there? Is it too wet?
It's too wet. It's not draining very well.
I would leave it.
And see.
I would leave it and then see what it does.
This entire...
Oh, wait. There's a good insect. See that little yellow?
What is that?
I don't know. Looks like a ladybug. Anything that has dots on it, or little polka dots on it, I mean, I may be wrong, but anything that has polka dots on it, I think maybe it's a good insect.
This entire row is triple crop from M.I. Gardner. And these will grow 12 feet tall. So what I will have to do is trellis over to the other side do like a Florida weave between this cattle panel and the other cattle panel.
Yeah.
Because these are going to grow huge.
So you'll have a little walkway awning.
Yeah.
Man, I can't imagine a better walkway awning than a tomato awning. Whew. That'd be good.
And then that tomato, something's been eating at that little tomato back down there. See it?
Here?
Yep.
No, that's the way it was made.
What about that one?
Yeah, I would toss that one. That one's done.
Is that because of all the rain?
I don't know.
Kind of blossoming rot?
I don't know. Now, you're not supposed to put tomatoes in your compost, are you? Can't they harvest funguses and things?
Well, people say different things. My gardener says the fungus is in the ground and you can't avoid it getting to your tomato plants.
I wouldn't put a diseased anything in my compost bin.
I wouldn't put a diseased anything in mine either.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't put tomatoes in my compost bin. I do have tomatoes growing in my compost bin from me to watch my basil plants. You're stepping on them.
Oh, my bad.
I do have tomatoes growing in my compost bin from tomatoes that I've thrown in there that have germinated.
Yeah. And you know, from some of the podcasts I've listened to, you're supposed to let your tomatoes and your vines and everything, you're supposed to put them aside and leave them alone because there are a lot of local pollinators that overwinter in them. So
don't burn them.
Don't burn them. Don't burn them. Not until after the spring when all of the animals, when all of the insects have done their thing.
Out.
Yeah, and have hatched out of the.
So look at the little rivers running through. That's how much rain we've gotten today.
Oh yeah. I mean, it rained hard last night. It woke me up.
Yeah.
So, your tomatoes look good. What do you have back here?
They looked way better before all this rain, I'm not going to lie. These are a mixture of, this is Thornburn terracotta.
Ooh, my favorite.
Amish paste.
How you know?
I just did.
Okay.
Look, they're not liking all this rain.
But leave them alone. When it dries out, they'll be okay. So you got cilantro planted down here?
Cilantro, marigolds, basil.
What do you have blooming there?
This is cilantro that's bolting.
Oh, okay.
Some of it's tried to bolt and I've clipped it off.
Okay. Are you going to try to do no-till on this area next year? Or are you just going to try to lay compost down and do no-till?
This was a lot of work to put these cattle panels up.
Yeah.
So,
look at all the blooms. What you got there?
Cucumbers, Parisian pickling.
Parisian pickling?
Mm-hmm.
What's so good about them?
They set their blossoms. I mean, this is the first time I've grown Parisian pickling, and my friends gave me the plants because I didn't seed start. But all of those blossoms will set. Their fruit set seems to be a lot better than I grew Market More 76 last year.
You got one ready.
Yeah, I'll get that.
Which was the one of yours that you grew last year that was so prolific?
Market More 76.
Okay.
Trying to think what else. I grew some pretty standard hybrids, I think, and they didn't set fruit very well. But this is set fruit. Market More 76 was the best last year.
Okay. What do you have back here? Blue Boarberry?
Blue Boarberry. You can tell by looking at their colors. A mixture of Blue Boarberry and what's the one that I gave you?
Rosella?
No, it looks like
Brad's Atomic.
Brad's Atomic Grape. So
yeah,
that one may be Brad's Atomic Grape.
My Brad's Atomic Grape is doing really well. So thank you, Liz, for giving us those seeds.
Yes. So that's cinnamon basil. You can tell the difference. Cinnamon basil and sweet basil.
Yeah. I love the way that smells. I love the way both of those smell.
This is spicy. The cinnamon basil is spicy.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go look at your other garden because we got to go pick some blackberries before the rain moves in. So,
We do.
Your corn's looking good.
Yes, everything needs to be weeded, but it's looking good. And this is just Silver Queen. I planted, let's see what this, another variety here called,
did it wear off your label? You can't read it? Did you use an erasable pen? We don't know.
we don't, it's one that's got a blue, like a bluish purple kernel mixed with yellow.
Did you save the seed packet?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I wrote it down in my journal.
Okay.
But the cool thing is, purple or blue corn is dominant. So if it cross-pollinates with the Silver Queen, it'll make some of the Silver Queen purple.
Oh.
So that will be cool.
That'd be cool.
So,
all right, what do you have here?
These are okra, a mixture of okra. These are Hell's Best Cantaloupe. And I need to pull some of them up and transplant them. Those were seeds from Dad's.
Oh, I love that.
Seed storage from 2014.
What, can you, when you dig those up, can you put some in a pot for me?
Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow.
Okay.
But I mean, I planted like 10 to 15 seeds because I didn't think they would germinate well because they were 7 years old, but everything germinated.
You know, the valuable lesson on that is don't throw seeds away.
Yes, don't throw seeds away.
Plant them, see if they'll grow.
These are winter squash.
That's winter squash?
Yeah, winter squash. These are all winter squash, different varieties,
And
and
some
winter
okra.
melons, zucchini, some summer squash, zucchini. These are all summer squash. This row is
Muddy?
muddy. Rattlesnake pole beans that I've got to get staked.
Yeah, I was about to make that suggestion,
gotta
but
get trellised.
you already know that. What's here, rattlesnake?
Rattlesnakes.
Okay.
These are more Parisian pickling. These are Market More, which I planted from seed. I don't know, I usually write the date. May 16th, so
You don't have a name written on there, though.
it's on the other side, Market More 76. May,
Okay.
Um,
Ooh, let me look at your zinnias. Ooh, am I stepping on your lemongrass?
lemongrass. Roselle Hibiscus.
What is that? What's a Roselle hibiscus? Flower?
It's in the hibiscus family. It gets tall, and you can make like jams and stuff from the buds. It looks like an okra. Look at the leaves. It doesn't look like an okra leaf.
It looks like okra.
Yeah. And okra is in the hibiscus family, isn't it?
I don't know. I think it seems like it is. Ooh, I love that pretty little zinnia.
I love that. Is candy cane.
I'm not gonna stake my zinnias. I noticed some people.
I'm not staking them.
They
It's
do
too much work. I
yeah.
have enough stuff to do.
Yeah.
My favorite. So those candy cane come. They're variegated and they're in all different colors. I've picked reds, pinks, and yellows.
Will the same plant have different colors?
No, I don't
No.
think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. But I don't know because they're just now starting to bloom.
My calendula you gave me is doing well.
Calendula.
Mine's yellow. My calendula's yellow. It's not orange like that.
Well, then it must have been a mixture of seeds because those are all the same. Those all came from the same seed packet.
Okay.
This is my favorite. This is Queen Lime Zinnia. It's a red zinnia.
Okay.
And I love it.
Yeah. I love that too. Oh my gosh. Your bees are doing really well. They going at it.
And that is just, it's been raining. It's been raining for what, better part of a week?
Yeah, it's been raining a lot.
So they don't get out and forage when it's raining like they do normally. So some people have already stopped giving them sugar water, which is just a mixture of half water, half sugar. But because they don't get out in the rain as much as they normally do, I put sugar water out. That thing was full. I put it out around 11 and they've already had, you know, a quarter of it, a third of it.
Well, I don't think they'll drink it if they don't need it either. Because
No, they won't.
I put sugar water out before and they didn't drink it. And they
Yeah.
must not have needed it because there was other stuff coming in. I need to put some sugar water out tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
all right, I love it, Brenda. It looks great.
It's weedy, but
it's fine.
what are you gonna do when it's been raining?
And y'all got corn planted over there?
Corn planted over there in that field, and then the big field afar has sunflowers. I put sunflowers for the pollinators, as well as we may plow it down and do a dove field. I don't know. Yeah. Although it's early for sunflowers for a dove field.
You need to be a bigger field too, I think.
Yeah. Of course. Mainly for the pollinators. And then there's, at this end, there's a mixture of wildflowers as well.
All right, let's go pick some blackberries. Your garden looks great. I love the trellising. It looks good.
We were talking about the pollinators, you know, my fruit setting so much. I've never seen my tomatoes set. I mean, it's like every blossom that's put on set. Look, I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
It's just 100% set.
But I don't think bees actually pollinate tomatoes, Brenda. I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't know for sure.
I mean, pan over there.
I know.
All of those.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that many tomatoes set on Daddy's tomatoes?
No. But you know, it was dry. It was dry when all these blooms. See, we may have a break between the setting of the fruit while it's so wet, because the pollen in those flowers is going to be wet. So I'm not a specialist, but in my little simple mind, if the pollen is too wet to shake off and pollinate the plant, then you may not have as much fruit set while we've got all these rainy days. So that's why if I'm at home and it's been raining a lot, and then we've had a few hours where everything's dried out, I go out to the garden and I grab my panels, and I just shake them.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that does anything.
Well, I know that this garden spot is exposed to the breezes more.
So the breeze is going to pollinate.
It was tucked into the woods last year, so the breezes are going to pollinate. And it's also the breezes are going to dry the plants out faster, hopefully.
Keep fungus away.
Keep the fungus away longer.
Yep. I mean, right now, I don't know if it's dry enough. I don't know if it's dry enough for everything to be having fruit set on it right now or not, but yeah, you got a lot of fruit set. Let's go pick some blackberries.
All right. You want to get out so I can turn the electric fence on so I don't shock your hiney?
Well, that'd be good.
Because I touched it. Okay. I hadn't touched an electric fence in a long time, so I tested it.
But you got on rubber boots. You think it'll do anything?
I don't know. I touched it a few days ago, and I felt like I was having irregular heartbeats afterwards. I felt like it wasn't a good thing.
Oh, Lord. Oh. You got to get out here and hoe this corn when it gets dry. Sorry.
There'll be lots of weeds.
That's okay. We'll get what we can. We always lost weight in the summer when we gardened with Daddy, didn't we?
Yeah, I've lost weight. I mean, I've probably lost 7 pounds since garden season started.
Yeah, God love him. He liked a pretty garden. He would ride up on the four-wheelers when we were hoeing, and you could just see him smiling from ear to ear the more of the garden we got cleaned up in the weeds. Yeah. So, all right, let's go pick some blackberries.
All right, let's do it.
So, we're about to get busy picking blackberries. So, it's a competition. She gets mad because I beat her because I always pick more than she does. So, the trick is hanging your picking bucket from your neck. You got to wear gloves because it's kind of brutal on your hands, and that way it frees up both hands. So,
yeah. One year I was kind of cheating, and she walked away from her bucket, and I poured her bucket in my bucket and spilled half of it in the process. She was not happy.
I was not happy at all. I don't know why it's got to be a competition, but anyway, y'all, we're gonna pick some blackberries because we're gonna make some blackberry cobbler, some blackberry
preserves, and AJ just eats them.
He just eats them.
Yeah. So. I picked about I don't know, maybe half a pound a couple of days ago, and left one in a colander and said, can I freeze the rest? Left some of it in a colander, and he was like, yeah, I'm not gonna eat any more. And then I went back in and found the cookie sheet that I had frozen the blackberries on was empty.
That's fabulous though, because that's a superfood. Blackberries are superfoods. So.
And it's all organic. I mean, there's no chemicals on this. So.
Yeah. All right, so we got to get to picking. We're burning daylight, so we will catch y'all later. And maybe let's do a little competition. We'll show them who can pick the most. So
it's gonna be me. My bucket's bigger.
That don't mean you can pick more. That don't mean you can pick more.
It's bigger. We'll see.
We'll
weigh them. We'll weigh them when it's done.
We'll see. So, all right, we'll let y'all know. See ya.
See ya.
So if they're green on the bottom, if you pick them, will they ripen?
No, I'll just cut that piece off because they ripen. I mean, and they still taste good. I mean, I could still eat that. But as much rain as we get right now, they're mushy if I let them sit out here much longer.
Okay, what about there? There's a red one right there.
So I read that you're not supposed to let the fruit set the first year to make the roots stronger, but I'm letting them run as well and clipping them after they root. So like, okay, for example, this was the mother plant. This was a runner.
Yeah.
So as soon as it got into the dirt,
yeah,
I clipped it from the mother plant so it would stop sucking energy from the mother plant.
Okay.
So I'm going to have more plants than I know what to do with, and I'll transplant them in other places.
Hey, I could like take a donation of them.
I can get you some starts going. I mean, I probably doubled my, I set out about 40 plants, and I've got at least 40 plants that have set runners too, that I'm just I'm clipping and letting them sit there and do their thing.
What's the variety?
Everbearing June. And then,
what is that right there? Is that a weed?
where?
Here? Right here.
Yeah, that's a weed.
Oh.
There are lots of weeds. Weed. Woo. Weed.
That's fine. Story of our life.
Rain's not been my friend in my garden. I weeded like 2 weeks ago and I need to weed again.
All right, so let's look at your bucket and see what you picked. It's hard to compare.
You picked more. Look at yours.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell without weighing it, so we'll call it a tie. We'll call it a tie.
Let's do call it a tie. I like ties. All right.
All right, so tell me about asparagus.
So starting it from seed, you can't really eat it until about the 3rd or 4th year, I think, because you want it to put its energy towards growing the roots. If you start it from, is it called tubers? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
If you don't start it from seed, if you start it from asparagus sets, whatever that's called, you can harvest, I think, 2nd or 3rd year. But the longer you wait to harvest, the stronger the root is.
So will it be there like forever? It's a perennial?
You can have it's a perennial. You can pick it for 20 years. I mean, once you start asparagus, you can come out here and pick it forever.
Okay, so you'll just let this die back, and then next year when it comes up, you'll probably pick it when it looks like what asparagus is supposed to look like.
I need to do some reading. I think I need to let it go 1 more year.
Okay.
The asparagus behind you in my weedy bed, that started from, not from seeds, but from the asparagus roots.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. I did that this year, so I can harvest a little bit of it next year.
What happens if you harvest it too soon?
The root doesn't get strong enough. I mean, if you let it grow stronger, it's going to produce more in the long run.
Look at your glove from picking berries.
From picking blackberries. I'll probably harvest maybe a couple of things from this, maybe 10% of it next year. The cool thing about this one is, can you see the difference between, you see those little berries?
Yeah.
That's a female plant.
Okay.
And the ones that don't have berries, like this,
yeah,
are a male plant.
So did they pollinate each other?
No. I don't know. I don't know about pollination. I do know this, though. The male varieties produce more asparagus because they put their energy into producing the asparagus. And the female variety put their energy, they produce asparagus, but they also put some energy into
reproduction.
Ah. So see the difference in the height here?
Yeah.
Versus here?
Well, and the stalk, the male stalk, the male stalk's bigger.
Yeah. So
than the female stalk.
So sometimes people, when they plant seeds, when they do seed starts, they will not, if they're not worried about reproduction and they just want a productive plant, they won't plant, they'll pull up the
females.
The females.
Huh. Well, that's cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, the frogs are saying it's time to
go night-night.
It's time to go night-night. So anyway. So it's about to get real on the farm because there's going to be a lot of picking and a lot of harvesting and a lot of putting up. So we will catch y'all later. See ya. See ya.